Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Attract Mode, presented by Lady Arcaders. We're an all-women's gaming community, where whether you are breaking games like a speedrunner, making games like a developer, or just here to have a good time, we celebrate all things gaming. We bring you showcases twice a week, and occasionally throughout the year we have larger charity events. And for December, we have a special treat. If you check our socials, we have an advent calendar going on, where there's a free game every day for you to check out. Today's game happens to have been submitted by me, and it's Sonic and the Fallen Star, a Sonic fan game. Could not be a more appropriate one for today, because tonight's showcase, Snowball is showing us a fresh new Sonic run, with Sonic Superstars, main story, all trip acts, glitched, featuring Trip, a new character that we've never seen before, and I love her. So, let's get on with this speedrun. Take it away, Snowball.
Alright, hello everyone, I'm Snowball, or Snowball SMB, doesn't really matter. And yeah, this is going to be Sonic Superstars, main story, New Game Plus, all chip acts. New Game Plus just because you can't actually play the main story as Trip until you've actually beaten it. Sonic Superstars has a grand total of 3 stories. There's the main story, and then there's Trip's story, which is pretty much you can only play as Trip, but all of the stages are like remixed and harder versions of the stages from the main story, and then there's the last story where you play as Super Sonic and fight a huge dragon. It makes total sense.
In context, it makes sense.
Yeah, kind of. So, what exactly does main story all trip acts mean? Well, 4 of the different zones in this game, Speed Jungle, Lagoon City, Golden Capital, and Frozen Base, have actually character-specific acts based on the 4 main characters, Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles. So there's like Speed Jungle Act Sonic and Lagoon City Act Amy. So we are going to be avoiding all of those and just playing the stages that Trip can play. So we're going to be starting with all of the Chaos Emeralds, all of the special Emerald powers, which I'll get into during the run. There will be a lot of breaking the game. This game is very silly, especially if you're playing as Trip. So, I am going to give a quick countdown, and then we are going to be off. Time is going to start as soon as I click confirm on the character select. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so first up we've got Bridge Island Zone. Sort of like this game's Green Hill, Emerald Hill, Angel Island, that sort of thing. And actually, this first stage is... I don't think I'm going to be using any glitches, I don't think. I want to make sure to avoid all of the big rings. That is unfortunate. I was hoping to get a huge jump over the those springs that shoot you into the background and foreground. And of course, we're hitting one of these magic portals because I just always do that for whatever reason whenever I play this game. It's just the sort of thing that happens to me, like, literally every time I try to play.
A lot of subspace energy on this island, so it's hard to avoid sometimes.
Yeah, honestly though, this stage is like the one that it's not that big a deal. If I do fly into the portal, it's really an issue if I end up flying into one of the big rings, because then I will have to either restart the stage or just try and fall out of the special stage as quickly as possible, because the way special stages work in this game is a little bit different than how they have worked in previous titles. It's more sort of, there are a bunch of like like energy orbs throughout a huge space, and you sort of like use an energy tether to like grapple from orb to orb, and then you have to chase after the okay, I'm gonna get hit apparently. You have to chase after the Chaos Emerald as it tries to run away from you.
And even just like falling on the bottom to get out of there can take a bit.
Yeah, I found that it's actually significantly faster to get out if you just briefly press the button to use the tether. Because for whatever reason that gives you a lot of speed, like falling. That's bad. Getting hit there is really bad because I need to have enough rings to go super for later in the stage. Because I want to skip the boss. Where am I? Trip, where did you end up, girl? Okay, I'm very not familiar with the part of the stage that Trip has decided to go. So, this is going to be interesting. Get those guys out of the way.
Oh, it's better for things like this to happen in the earlier stage, that's for sure.
Yeah. And now we're going to use the first instance of a glitch. So, Trip super form is really busted. She turns into this big golden fire-breathing dragon, and she's huge, and the game, especially the ceilings of the game, don't really know what to do about that. So you can just sort of fly through ceilings in this game with Super Trip, and just pretty much skip every single boss arena. It's really funny. Some are harder than others. And actually, this stage is going to be the first instance of... I actually play this game using hybrid controls. Which way is it? It's this way. I was getting trolled by those vines earlier, and I really wanted to make sure that I was, like, not going on the one that's, like, harder. But anyway, yeah, most of the things I do in this game are on controller. However, this glitch here, I tend to do the movement on keyboard because...
Okay.
How do I explain this? It's like there's some space in between the ceiling and like the area above it, I think it is, where if Super Trip is positioned just in that space, she'll gain an absurd amount of speed. And her speed is so great that she can actually just like clip through walls. But that space vertically is very, very small. So I always switch to keyboard controls to make sure that I'm getting 100% left and right. And there's actually going to be a glitch on the final stage where I'm going to be using the keyboard for vertical inputs. And yeah, as soon as I did that jump, I knew I was going to hit that portal. These portals, their locations are set. I mean, it's not the end of the world hitting them because it is a lot of rings, but it's... Oh, jeez. It is still kind of like an annoyance because it is a bit of an auto-scroller section. And they do sort of come out of nowhere.
Like, sometimes when you're playing casually, like, you want them. Like, you see that and you're just like, oh, cool, get me off of this route.
Yeah. That definitely did happen during my casual playthrough. Now we've got
To avoid this bigger.
a little bit of a different sort of use of this glitch, because this stage has like 2 different layers of ceilings. So, got through the first one, but now I need to... Come on. Come on, girl. Go up. Thank you. Alright, now I need to... Now I need to...
The way you get through the ceiling is just going left, and sometimes it works.
Need a little bit of her claw. There we go. On the screen for zip speed, and then wait for the tree to leave the screen and cancel. And this should put me right on the capsule. Okay, that's close enough.
I've been calling this strategy the what is it? The trip, clip, zip, skip.
That's
Okay.
that's pretty much what it is. Yeah, I think that like breaking through the second ceiling on that stage works in that spot because there's that huge wall right next to it. I think there's some weird interaction that Super Trip has with ceilings and walls that just lets that happen.
Honestly, like, I've been playing around with it, and there's just, like, a weird amount of stuff going on with their hitbox in general. Like, I took damage from the dragon's hitbox after reverting back to regular trip. So I'd say just didn't account for it, probably.
Yeah, that's still something else. Alright, let's not go into that big ring. The first time I ever did a run of this game, I crashed straight into that big ring, and I was very sad. But Sky Temple here is a bit of an interesting stage because this is the first instance of a one-act zone. There are a few acts, or zones in this game that only have one act because they are somewhat bigger. And Sky Temple has a lot of going up and then back left or right and then up more, but using the Emerald Power Bullet, which is that sort of meteor that gives me a ton of dashes, to just fly way up and then pop super to get to the top of the stage, we pretty much don't do any of that. And then, of course, Super Trip in the ceiling right over the boss trigger, and then cancel on the capsule. It is this game is so funny.
We just don't do any bosses in this run. It's great.
And normally, I really enjoy bosses in Sonic games. However, this game, the bosses are very auto-scrollery and just, to me personally, not as interesting. So are you freaking kidding me? Portal number 3, everyone.
Amazing.
So long as I don't hit the portal on Golden Capital Act 1, we're fine. The portal on Golden Capital literally takes you way off the route to the point where you actually do have to fight the boss. That boss actually isn't really that much of an auto-scroller, but it still is time-consuming because the boss is very fast and you have to sort of chase after him. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is one stage where I'm actually not going to get the zip speed. I only use the zip to clip through the wall. And now I need to go down a little bit. Right past that roller coaster drop in the background, there's going to be a tent with 2 flags. Very shortly after I get past that, I need to cancel or else I will go too far and fall into an abyss of nothing. There we go. And next up, we've got, aesthetically, maybe my favorite zone in the zone or act or just stage in general in the game, and also the most broken. We got the Haunted Carnival with Pinball Carnival Act 2.
You can really see Eggman going like, I like carnivals, but I think I also like haunted houses with this one.
Yeah. And I am a huge fan of spooky themed stuff in games, so this zone makes me very happy. Especially since we can just skip the pinball aspect of this carnival. So I'm going to pop super here and fly up, and now I'm going to utilize another funny little glitch in this game called Infinite Super. So you'll notice that now my ring counter is not going down.
Interesting.
What is the positioning? This one? There we go. So if you activate super and then almost immediately, but not immediately, there is a very brief amount of time you have to wait. If you cancel the super, you will stay in super state, but your rings won't go down because the game thought that you canceled super, but you still have the effects of super state. That is really handy because these 2 walls by the boss arena don't like to let you through. And it's a very long stage up to this point. Come on. I'm sad because my PB, I just instantly blew through both of these walls without any of this happening. I don't know how. It's pretty much luck-based.
Apparently this is like 2 walls stacked on top of each other. It's not just a really thick wall. Like, that's what the geometry is we're working with. So you have to be able to clip through both of them at the same time. That's why it's so hard.
Okay, you know what? We're going over.
Good thing there's the alternative of going over. You just don't have to fight the boss.
Yeah, so...
But it's a very tall wall to go over.
So if I did not use the infinite super glitch that time, I would have run out of rings while I was over the boss arena. So that's why that glitch is really handy. I'm going to be using it, I think, only one other time in the run, but there might be a time that I'm forgetting. Who knows? But now we're in Lagoon City. This is a zone that a stage where I might actually end up having to fight the boss because sometimes the boss skip can be a little bit finicky.
So this is a fast boss among them, though, so... Yeah. Especially with Trip's double jump.
Well, actually, so I think now's a good time. What route am I on?
The bottom. I'm sorry to say.
I've never understood this stage. No matter how many times I try to learn the route, I am always forgetting what the actual route is. Yeah, I think now is a good time to explain the emerald powers in this game. So every one of the Chaos Emeralds has a special power that is tied to it. So like the green emerald has the Ivy ability where like a huge vine grows up from the ground and you can use it to get to higher places. The red one's got Bullet, which is like pretty much the only power that we actually use in the speedrun because it is so good. And the others actually are kind of slow to use. There's one called, what is it called? I think Avatar. It's actually the first ability you get, and you can do some really cheesy things against some of the bosses in this game using it, because just like a bunch of clones of your character will spawn, and pretty much, okay, well, we're gonna use it. So this is what happens. They just run into the bosses. It's not exactly the most useful thing against a handful of the bosses, but this boss and back at Bridge Island Zone Act 2, the boss that we skipped, that one's also really good to use Avatar on because it's just a bunch of free hits, well, for free.
There's a lot of little like uses for the Chaos Emerald powers against bosses like that, and it's just never like, I always have to remind myself, oh yes, I can just do that. I can shorten this boss a little bit.
Yeah, I ended up really making use of those against some of the harder ones, like Press Factory 2. That boss was brutal for me. But
so we're allowed to skip Act Amy here, huh?
Yeah, so normally after Lagoon City Act 1, oh wait, I'm actually going to use slow here. That's another emerald power. But I want to slow these guys down so that way I can sneak past them to go onto this route.
Basically chaos control.
Yeah, I'm so sad that they called it slow and not control. Like, missed opportunity.
I wish that the achievement said chaos control. Oh, that would have been a good reference.
That would have been great. Oh shoot, okay. Now
normally Act Amy is a mandatory stage and you have to do that because it's actually story relevant. Trip's trap backfired on her and Amy has to go find her and help her through the rest of the stage. It's very good. It's a very cute little stage. It's basically girls' night.
Yeah, I call exiting out to the world map to skip that stage for this category. I call that Yuri skip.
That's fair.
Oh, no. Okay, there is a second invisible wall here. I need to go over that, and then down I also need to be ready to switch to bullet in case my ring count runs out, but it is not. Nice. If you go too far on that stage and then cancel super, you will just plunge into a watery abyss. It is possible to pop bullet and get back up to the stage, but you have to be pretty quick about when you activate bullet. And you also have to be be careful about various just kill planes underneath the stage. There are kill planes under some of the stages. And you can bullet straight into them if you overshoot the end of the stage. It is very tragic whenever that happens. But now we're in Sand Sanctuary.
There's even kill planes sometimes above stages. That's going to be something we'll have to deal with later.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very relevant for the final stage of the game. Oh, shoot. Okay, getting hit there shouldn't be an issue, but I am going to take special care to grab those rings there. And grab this shield. I want to have a shield as frequently as I can, just so that way, in case something goes slightly wrong and I end up taking damage, I don't lose all my rings. Because, as you've probably guessed so far, this run is super spam. Because Super Trip is one of the most busted things to ever come to a 2D Sonic game, and she's the absolute best.
Definitely one of my, like, even without all this nonsense, I'd say she's definitely one of my new favorite characters. I hope maybe she shows up later.
I hope that they bring her back for future games. Design-wise, she's awesome. Personality-wise, she's awesome.
Yeah, I think what sold me on, like, just, like, her general, just how she stands about. She swings her arms in a way very similar to Cream. And I was just like, that's very cute.
I hadn't actually thought about that. Yeah, you're right. Alright, let's skip this boss, because this is, like, one of the longest bosses in the game, and it's just an auto-scroller. Come on. These walls are not cooperating tonight. There we go. Okay. That could have been worse. We could have still been there for like 30 more seconds. You never know how the trip zip clip is gonna work. Sometimes it'll do that. Other times you'll just blast through the walls without having to wiggle back and forth at all. But Sand Sanctuary was the second stage that only had one act. And now we are into Press Factory. So there's a huge, like, piston-like mechanism in the background that whenever it stamps on the ground, the stage will, various parts of the stage will move to different positions, and, well, that will happen. You'll get tossed up in the air. I timed my jump wrong. So it looked like I jumped twice, but I only jumped once and then got tossed up in the air a second time.
Unlike, what was it called? Press Garden? This actually has a reason to be called Press that's, like, physical. It's not like newspapers this time.
Right. And this is another stage with 2 ceilings. Come on, please let me up. I do not have the rings for this. Thank you. Alright, now I need to try to get back down so that way Trip's ankle is just below the screen. Come on.
It is satisfying to watch this level be skipped, because this is where, like, the level design really started to grate on me for a bit with this stage. It only gets worse in the second act.
Also, I don't know why the ceiling is like... Wait a minute. Go back a little bit.
Oh.
Where am I?
That's a good question. The boss arena's not that big in this, is it?
There we go.
There we go.
So usually there's the invisible wall right next to the signpost. And usually you just crash into it, and that's sort of your cue to deactivate Super State and land to finish the stage. I clipped through it. I saw the animation for Trip running into the wall, but then she kept going, so I was like, oh no. Now I've got to eyeball this.
Sometimes it takes a bit, sometimes it just works.
Yeah. And now we've got what was one of my least favorite stages casually, and what might be my favorite stage in the speedrun. Press Factory 2.
I bet it's satisfying to speed through.
Oh, you have no idea.
I tried this with Sonic my first try. I gave up and switched to Knuckles.
So, oh, okay, I'm really glad that I had that shield, but now I need to be careful because there is a spot coming up that is very easy to get hit on. Jump up here. Wait for that to go up. So this stage...
abilities are nice because they're like a mix of Amy's and Knuckles. It's actually closer to SPO and Chaotix.
What the? Okay, I have no idea what hit me there. But
oh, it was the drone in the background got far enough that some things were starting to explode around. I hate it when that happens. It's just some things are flammable.
I don't like flammable things in my speedrun. Alright, so yeah, the drone is like the first of many gimmicks that Press Factory 2 has. Whoa, I'm gonna wait. But, it's pretty much the only one that we're going to be seeing any of. Because, well, Dragon Trip is absolutely busted. So, hopefully this time, at least resetting the stage, I got my shield back.
Safety first.
Jump up, hit that. There we go. Grab these rings, and now it's time to break the stage. Going to fly over here, hit the button again to reset the drone timer. And then we're going to clip through one wall and then go to the next wall and fly up through the wall, through the ceiling, through another wall. Alright, now I need to upright, not too steep, because there is a really tall wall up here that I need to get past.
So we're skipping a couple rocket segments, a couple falling segments, just general gimmicks of the level.
More just running, going to deactivate super, and then double jump off that wall, and should be landing just past the capsule. There we go.
I actually, found the boss for this to be very interesting, but, as soon as I, thought that, it started cheating on me. Though, again, I was playing as Knuckles, so those jumps.
Yeah, that boss was really brutal for me, and I was playing as Amy, who's a little bit of a boss destroyer.
Her and Tails, those are good for going through the first time.
Alright, and now we've got the game's actual pinball stage. It was not Pinball Carnival, it is Golden Capital. I really don't like Golden Capital, so we're going to break it. But I mean, then again, we're breaking every stage, so not really anything new. Grab that magnet, jump up here, hit into these capsules that have a bunch of rings, and then fly over here, use a drill to dig through this, because I guess this was an extra gimmick they wanted to have for the stage.
Drill! Straight out of Colors, because too many Emerald powers were already used, they couldn't put drill there. Honestly,
super.
I liked Golden Capital 1 the first time, but, since I played it in Trip's story, I now have a vendetta against it. So there's that.
Golden Capital 2 in Trip's story is probably my least favorite stage in the game.
Very fair.
That one made me very upset. So fun fact about Trip's story. The zones that have the character acts in Trip's story have 3 acts instead of 2, and the second act is pretty much a remixed version of the character acts, and then Act 3 is a remixed version of the Act 2 from main story. So Trip's Golden Capital Act 2 is actually like a remixed version of Act Knuckles, which was not that bad of a stage as Knuckles. It was just sort of long and got a little bit repetitive.
Yeah.
But in Trip's story, it is awful.
So many ways to get crushed.
And it just never ends. But anyway, we don't have to worry about that. We're gonna hit the signpost upside down.
I love that we're upside down for this one.
And coming up next in... I almost smashed into Act Knuckles. That would not have been good. This stage is going to be a little bit different. Because in this cutscene that we're going to skip, Knuckles thought that it was a great idea to toss all of the Chaos Emeralds around and, you know, celebrate about having all of them, but Fang the Hunter decided, you know what, I'm gonna grab those. So now we don't have any of the Chaos Emeralds, so Super State is not on the table. We're going to get them back after this stage, but
we gotta do this normal.
Yeah.
Except there's some glitching.
We've got...
The funny thing about that Knuckles scene is if you get none of the Chaos Emeralds at all, Knuckles finds them in his cutscene after Act Knuckles. They're just in that room with the mural. So that's why he has them out, technically. They didn't really consider for this because after this act, when the thing happens, they do go back to Sonic, but you still don't have any emeralds.
You know, Knuckles is a resourceful guy.
Yeah.
Alright, now I'm going to try the first auto-scroller skip. So if I hit that platform... Okay, I did not jump fast enough. So whenever you touch this platform, this auto-scroller starts. But if you keep rolling along the ceiling, the auto-scroller won't actually start and you can get through it a lot faster. However, staying on Staying on the ceiling because of all of the enemies flying at you can be very tricky. Where am I? Oh, I hate this room.
I love the, like, sun statue imagery in this, but I feel like I should recognize it from somewhere in an official Sonic game before this, because it is also used in Sonic and the Fallen Star. And I'm like, Star Drop, what is this a reference to? Why do I not know this?
This room is awful. So I need to use this pinball flipper to get up onto the sort of conveyor belt thing that's directly above it. But yeah, it doesn't like actually letting you up there.
Just weird slope geometry. You never know what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
Especially with pinball flippers on the line.
Oh!
Nice.
Okay. Well, I apparently jumped one too many times. Fortunately, this is like the longest stage to fall out of.
It's like when I was practicing my Mania Blaze Hang Glider percents, I could not get through that without getting into a big ring, but it's actually because of the way you can do the special stations in that. I was like, I'm just gonna get the Emerald. That's the fastest way out of this, and do the speed strats for it. This is an intentional death, right?
Yep. So here is one of the biggest skips in the game, but also one of the hardest.
One of the ones that make me the happiest.
So the boss fight is an auto-scroller on this stage. It's like a 4-minute auto-scroller against Fang.
It's like they said, didn't you wish that Sky Chase had a boss that was like Labyrinth Zone? And we all said no, but they said who cares?
Yeah, pretty much. So there we go. Now I'm going to spin dash to the second metal and upright. So hitting the platform just right like that ends up it lets you stay on the platform, but you're not in the auto scroller. So we're now flying towards the capsule.
Bypassing the arena, we got a nice cyan background for a bit there.
I need to upright until we find some pipes that are just floating in the sky for whatever reason. I'm a little bit worried that I might have overshot. Nope, there are the pipes. I almost overshot. All right, I need to go back left a little bit. Also, I need to be very careful not to jump. If I jump, it will teleport this platform all the way back to where the platform spawns. And that's not good.
You can do this with any character. This is one of those glitches that you don't need to be tripped for.
Right.
Most of what we've seen so far have been Trip exclusive.
No, it's Twitch exclusive, and we're streaming on trip.tv.
I knew it.
Alright, here's the capsule. And now I need to be very careful to skip this cutscene as fast as possible, because there is a chance that Trip will land on the platform.
And then we'll be set back to the start of the auto-scroller again.
Yeah. But in that sense, or in that case, the platform was still technically in the floor, so I didn't actually have to worry about that at all, which is nice. But now we've got our final one-act zone cyber station, and this is got maybe my favorite glitched route in the entire game. It is so cool. This has maybe the worst boss in main story. It's either this boss or the final boss. I'd have to say...
I would give it to the Knack auto-scroller, and then followed by the... Well, due to my experience with it in Trip's story, the Sky Temple boss I really hate.
The Sky
Temple I thought was cool enough to be fine. It did take some attempts.
The Sky Temple boss was so much harder in Trip's story. Oh my gosh, I was not ready for that when I was playing through that.
I gave it an additional hit too. 9.
Gonna wait for these to go by. But yeah, this boss made me very upset in my casual playthrough, so I was very happy when I learned about this stage's route. I am too low. I need to go up here into this tunnel.
Well, the gimmick with this boss is that you can make a mecha animal type person in your little shop, and that's your multiplayer battle bot. That's what you fight in this.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes huge. You can just replicate Metal Sonic or Metal Knuckles, or with Metal Tails or Metal Amy. You don't unlock Tails' parts until after this, but I for my stream actually made it a full replica of Metal Knuckles, so that was fun.
I've got like a Metal Amy that's sort of like color schemed like the trans pride flag.
Nice. I accidentally made Mamie, who I think is from the comics, but you can play as her in Sonic Robo Blast 2. She's like a Metal Amy. It's like green and has a spike ball.
Nice. Alright, we're gonna run over here and we are going to skip the boss, because Trip is the real boss of this run. So, got this beautiful, like, digital city sort of backdrop. We're going to fly over here, crash into one invisible wall, go over it, crash into the second one, and deactivate super. So here's the first wall. But it is very important to not go over the second wall. If you go over the second wall and then deactivate super, you will fall into a bottomless abyss. If you try to bullet back up, there is a kill plane down there, right under the stage. You know, shoutouts to Argic for taking one for the team by crashing into that kill plane when he was trying to figure out the route for that stage. he made the mistake, so none of us ever will.
That's the true beauty of glitch hunting.
Yes, it really is. Oh wait, I need to hit that. I did not mean to hit that. Oh no. So, whenever there's like... Okay, that's going to cancel the power. I am going to just bullet. So whenever the game will like be like, hey, you can use an emerald power here. Yeah. Unfortunately, it just like that will just show up. And my emerald power button is right next to my spin dash buttons, so
I mean, it can be a good reminder casually, but like sometimes it doesn't even last long enough to be a useful reminder.
Right.
It's just like, hey, wait, I have to go back. What did you want me to do here?
But now we're going to get some speedy shoes. We're going to run over here, hit some springs, and then jump up here, jump across to these loop-de-loops. And I hope that I hit a... Oh, I did not jump. Oh, no. I need to be very careful not to hit any of those enemies because I need to have super state.
Yeah, these Orbanauts are like in the worst position.
I'm gonna just restart the stage. So, I was too slow to activate bullet. I always have like bullet ready to activate on that part of the stage as a precaution, and this was the one time I didn't do that. And as soon as I thought about it, well, you guys know what happened.
Yeah. I mean, that segment, it's not intuitive where the ground falls underneath you in the first place.
And then you throw speed shoes into the equation, and it's a total mess. So, yeah, I'm hoping that there are some people in chat whose favorite stage in this game is Frozen Base Act 1, because we're seeing it twice. Oh, shoot, I'm frozen.
I love Quartz Quadrant, Frozen Base.
I need to hit this switch to have the conveyor moving that way. We're going to get those speed shoes again.
Something we should probably note about how the Emerald Powers work. If you use it once, it's used up for the time being, but once we hit a checkpoint, we get another use of it. So that's also a thing, like sometimes when you have to use bullet a few times to manage that way.
I panicked. I don't like activating bullet for this segment because then we get to the boss arena where you have to climb up the wall and pop super and you have to wait for bullet to end. Unfortunately, this time I was kind of slow getting through the shifting floor section, so it's not that big a deal. But now we're going to fly over this boss arena. It's a very slow auto-scrollery boss, so it's one that you really want to reset the stage to make sure that you can skip.
Weirdly, I found one very tedious to actually be able to even hit the boss if you're not Sonic, because of his little boost the drop dash can give. It's just not a fun boss, yeah, especially in Trip's story.
Yeah,
oh my hits.
I wanted to throw my controller by the end of the Trip story version. But now we've got one of the strangest stages in the game. I don't know why they felt the need to do this, but this is Frozen Base Act 2. We're still technically in Frozen Base.
On one hand, this act is like watertight. You can't skip it. On the other hand, I love Fantasy Zone. This isn't even just a reference. These are mechanical versions of Fantasy Zone enemies. This is just a Fantasy Zone level in a Sonic game. and Trip is in the Flame-mobile from Sonic 3, Angel Island Zone. The other characters all have respective Eggmobiles from the game they first come from, but the one from Sonic 2 that Tails is in kind of looks like Opa Opa, the protagonist to Fantasy Zone. And also the music matches.
And there's also a cutscene after Frozen Base Act 1 that we skipped that shows Tails having like finished repairing this little ship for Trip to fly in. Also, this is like damage boost and annoying sound effect the fight.
Yeah. You just hang onto those rings and damage boost your way through these.
Okay.
A lot of dings along the way.
111 is a really good IGT for that stage. I'm very happy with that.
You gotta have a way to go to space in Sonic games. They're always makeshifting their ways, these characters.
Yep. Now we've got the final stage. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't fully know the glitched route for this stage. Whoa, that's way past the thing. So, I do know this first skip. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, that was a suggestion.
Yeah. There's an elevator up here. I did the thing again. Hopefully, I was gonna say, I never get past this elevator. I always end up accidentally flying into it and then hitting the fire jet and losing all my rings. That's fine. We still skipped a room. I like to call the room that we skipped one of 3 Space Junk Galaxy rooms, because the first stage in Space Junk Galaxy and Mario Galaxy has these platforms that look incredibly similar to the platforms in that room that sort of like will fall away or reappear depending on a timer, and in Act 1 those platforms will show up, and then in Act 2 they will disappear, because Act 2's got a fun little gimmick. But here I'm going to try something that I've actually never done before.
Doing the gravity clip.
Come on, Chip.
I've actually pulled this one off a few times.
It's much more crucial, at least in my opinion, in Act 2, so you know what,
yeah.
Trip is being temperamental, we're going to just ignore that then.
It took me until my second revisit to this after beating it to even find out you could land on the walls here so you can get a little boost. I just slowly flowed through this with tail.
Yeah, I don't think I realized that you could do that either. This sort of hallway there, platforms falling from the ceiling trying to crush us, so we have to make our way through it fairly quickly. Yes, the box of the strangest instant death in Act 2 there is. Hopefully we won't get hit by that.
The collision on some of the walls when you're going on those boxes can be really weird. You can just... I actually had an instance I was falling along the wall, not even pushing into it, and I would just die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I was touching it.
Yep. That sounds like Egg Fortress. The first time that happened to me, I was so mad.
Mm-hmm. I was more confused when it happened to me the first time. I was just like, can I replicate this? I hope this happens on recording, because people need to see how dumb this is.
The first time it happened to me was during a speedrun.
Oh.
So
Yeah, get it out of the way casually is better.
I mean, it at least was before I learned the Egg Fortress 2 route, so rings weren't like as crucial, so it didn't result in a stage reset, but it still was really irritating.
Best auto-scrollers.
Yep. So yeah, this is the one stage in the game that I don't actually know the route for. So we're just sort of taking a nice little tour through
it's a very diagonal stage. I guess it's like you just sort of find the places to clip out if you can.
Yeah, and actually
and you also have to keep your rings.
The stage going in a diagonal is actually really important for the second act, because the kill planes on the outside of the stage also move in a diagonal, and that is going to be very important because there's going to be a whole lot of going super and flying outside of the stage in the second act.
The tricky lasers. I thought for a bit that you could actually, if you did the little like jump boost in the air, you could actually phase through the lasers, but I think I was just hitting it at a time where they were thin enough to not hurt anymore.
Yeah, and also, like, when those hitboxes, like, turn on and off is really janky. I do not understand the timing of it in the slightest. But I'm pretty sure we should be coming up on the end of this stage momentarily. I'm pretty sure it's just this and then one more room. Oh,
Yeah, one more of the
okay then.
rooms. Did that thing? Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that is indeed the thing. Fortunately, there's a checkpoint right before this room. Also,
That's a decent time for it to happen.
yeah, and also hitting those laser emitters is also really janky.
Sometimes they just bounce you off for some reason.
Yeah, I've never understood that.
Yeah.
Alright, one stage to go, and it is one of the coolest, but also the scariest, because it is the last stage. So, the boss at the end of the stage is like at least 5 minutes. No, it's more than that. We're not going to play it, because there's an animal capsule in the wall right next to the cutscene that takes you into the final boss. So, Eggman hit that machine, and now everything's going to go in reverse. The timer's going to go in reverse. When it hits 0, nothing happens. We all thought it was going to mean instant death. It means literally nothing.
It just means you're still on the boss, don't worry.
Yeah. But now everything is going to be moving in reverse. Platforms that collapsed are going to now go back up.
Such a cool concept.
I completely forgot how the start of the stage goes.
Right.
I was autopiloting. What you're supposed to do is another funny little trip glitch, because she can cling to the wall.
I did this by accident. I mean, they have to have a way out from underneath for sure, probably for multiplayer purposes. By the way, this is a 4-player co-op game normally.
Yeah. And the co-op is really janky, but really fun.
Yeah, it's definitely made with that in mind.
But now we're going to roll along the ceiling to avoid the activation trigger for these missiles. We don't want the missiles to come at us. We're going to go through this room quickly before the platform despawns. Hit that enemy. I want those rings.
Back and forth with this with Tails was a very nice casual experience. I would not have wanted to do this the first time with any other character, because just fly through those rooms. It's fine.
There we go. So I'm going to go over here, because when you have the anti-gravity effect, you have to hit an enemy to get out of the effect. And it's much safer to hit an enemy off to that side than to go towards where the huge spiky balls are.
The weird quirk about that, though, is that if you were to get hit by now, which we absolutely don't want because you need super, you would... The rings would keep acting like the gravity was never turned back on.
Yeah, it's super, super weird. But this is sort of the final big glitch thing of the run. We need to keep close to the stage because the kill plane is moving downward and diagonally, and we don't want to get hit by that. Time is going to be very shortly after I hit the capsule, so I will be calling for that momentarily, because this is the final stretch of the run.
I love when they have like a backup capsule. Like they did that in Mania too. But just in case you don't get to the boss. We are over where the boss encounter would start. Nice, GG.
Once I remembered how the route actually goes, that stage went really, really well. And now I'm going to press next. It's going to go into this cutscene, and the game will crash.
It will.
Because the game just doesn't know what to do with
That's
this.
fascinating.
So, for the outro, I am going to close out of the crashed game, and I'm going to reopen Sonic Superstars, so that way we don't just have a black screen for the capture window. Sega!
While you got that going, tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch, on YouTube, on Blue Sky, on Tumblr, pretty much anywhere at Snowball SMB. I like to stream Super Monkey Ball games, as the SMB implies. Sonic, like this absolutely broken gem of a game. I like to play Splatoon, indie games, all sorts of stuff. Real quick, what was the ending time?
We've got a 5108 for you.
That's a PB.
Nice. We love to see
gosh. I had to freaking reset almost a minute into Press Factory 2. I had to reset into something else. I had to reset on Egg Fortress.
That's the power of those trip clip zip skips.
Yeah, I literally learned the routes for Speed Jungle 2, Press Factory 1, and Egg Fortress 2 last night. Especially the Egg Fortress 2 is a huge amount of time save. It cuts the amount of time you're on that stage in like half. It's ridiculous.
Sure. That level's designed to be long. But yeah, thank you so much for showing us. This was a blast.
Yeah, I had so much fun with this. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Stick around for a bit. We've got a few more announcements after this, and then we'll have a raid for you. Thanks again to Snowball for that great run. Our next Attract mode this Sunday is going to feature Grey Goo Girl, who's going to show us an any % run of Chrono Trigger Jets of Time randomizer. So you can really go all over space and time for this. If you have any submissions you want to get in, I think we're in the middle of scheduling for January. Our submissions are always open for you to show us what you want to show us on Attract mode. And if you want to keep up to date with us, we have all of our socials on the ladyarcaders.com website. You can join us in the public Discord if you're not in the private. So just hear our updates and get news on when we're broadcasting. Stick around for the raid. We're going to be raiding Alita1234, who should be playing some Sonic Adventure 2 Battle right now. Get some more Sonic goodness in there. And thank you all for hanging with us tonight. Have a lovely night.